Well, hello, cuties. Today, let's talk about forgiveness of ourselves and others. Yeah, I know it's hard sometimes. Prevents our best life. You know, it's not just that the person deserves our hatred, our anger, our frustration, our grief, our sadness. It's maybe they do deserve it, but it's that it wears us down. Okay. And it just prevents us from moving toward our best life. For some reason, I feel like I want to share this very blunt story. And I have an even more blunt story later, but I have a story to relate which illustrates what I mean. I had a female client many years ago who said, "Oh, I could never forgive my ex-husband for making me get an abortion." Now, no judgment here on abortions. It's simply a blunt story from my own work and from my own clients. Do you hear what's going on with that statement? This lady was a wealthy enough woman in the US that claimed that her ex made her get an abortion. What do we mean by that? What did she mean by that? How could a sovereign human make another sovereign human do something? Well, clearly there were quid pro quos, or she wanted a secondary gain from doing what he wanted. Okay. So it might have been about money or status, or she might have been pressured by the family. It might have been the culture. It might have been wanting to be accepted. Uh, uh, Staying wealthy, keeping all the toys. I don't know. Maybe it was about not confronting. Maybe it was about fear and other things. Maybe it was about taking the easy way. And she also took the easy way by blaming her ex for what she chose to do with her own body. I advise this woman, who was a great person, by the way, to forgive herself and her ex for any perceived wrongs. I believe that she clearly felt bad for her own actions, and then subconsciously pushed it to the ex so she could blame him when she was in fact blaming herself, or blaming both of them. Whatever situation they had. And I know it's a wealthy enough family that could have afforded the baby. It's just, he didn't want it. So he, quote unquote, made her. No one makes you do anything. You're choosing to do it because there's a perk in it somewhere. We call it in psychology a secondary gain. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness does not mean that you now think that the injury to you is over, that the person, or here to put it another way, that the person did no wrong. Surely they still did the wrong. It was wrong. It doesn't mean it makes what they did okay. It doesn't mean they get out of what they've done. Okay. Forgiveness is for you. You get to lay down the hurts and the anger. These are lower vibrating emotions. And if you bathe in these, you live in this low vibrational state, and it's harder to move forward. Now, I always say, as a counselor and a coach and a healer, it's important to feel your feels. If you're grieving a loss of someone or betrayal, by all means grieve. But if you stay there for 6 months, a year, these emotions can wear you down, and it's hard to achieve really great goals or achieve really wonderful happiness that you deserve, by the way. If you're stewing in this and marinating in these angry emotions, they sap you energy. They sap your energy. They keep you stuck. They slow your future. They make you tired and sick. And you may not understand the cause of it. So you might just feel tired and sick and not knowing it's this lack of forgiveness and resentfulness that's keeping you down. So it makes sense to forgive. In some Christian circles, I know because I was an uber Christian pastor at one time, they say that forgiveness means that the person no longer has to pay the penalty for their sin. Now, I don't know about that. I know that perhaps when you forgive, maybe the person emotionally doesn't owe you anything. There may be financial reparations, et cetera, and law courts and stuff like that. I'm talking about forgiveness for everything. So you could forgive someone for missing a date on Saturday, or for stealing your children. It could be, soup to nuts here. So there's a lot of things going on and a lot of possibilities. It's just that I don't know if I agree with that. I think it doesn't matter. We don't care. It just makes sense to lay it down, let it go, and move on. I do believe, like in my own life, that the people I've forgiven, I don't feel they any longer owe me stuff. Like I have an ex-guy I was dating. I would say he owes me $800. I'm not looking for it. I'm never going to see it, but I've let him go because I don't need the trouble, right? It'd be nice if he wanted to be friends and paid me back, but it's fine. I'd just rather be done with it, So But I do think that maybe there may be some karma, whatever you want to call it, or maybe some sin or something like that. I think at the end of their life, they're going to have a life review and they're going to know the shitty thing they did. And they're going to make choices to pay that back somehow, maybe on the other side after they've transitioned, perhaps. I don't know. But you see, when you forgive, it doesn't matter. You just get to lay it down and move on. It's like taking all these rocks out of your rucksack, out of your backpack, and laying them down. Right now, also, you can't change the past. Well, for the most part, I'll teach on that at some point. You can change it a little bit. But in any case, you may as well move forward clean, healthy, and happy. Being angry, sad, and resentful and unforgiving only wears you down and makes you grumpy, and it makes you unpleasant to others, by the way. I'll share another story about one of my brothers. I'll call him Rob. So this is another blunt story. And by the way, I've had my therapy, but here we go. So my brother, Rob, actually I was living with him for 3 weeks because I'd left somebody and I was moving away and blah, blah, blah. And we stayed together. I stayed at his house. I agreed to help him redo and refabricate the inside of his house, like re-wallpaper, while he was farming outside. And so I was home when I remember it was a Wednesday evening and I was marinating some vegetables. He was going to come home and grill some steaks. He had found a new chimenea and we wanted to try grilling on it. I remember all that. We were out. So I was out back on his porch, marinating the veggies. And he came home and he started talking kind of strangely. He was blackout drunk, like he was drunk. And he started saying things to me like, Liz, if we had sex, it wouldn't matter because you're not my real sister. He is my stepbrother. He started saying things like that. And I thought, oh no. And then he came after me to sexually assault me. And he grabbed my parts and he didn't get very far because he was drunk. But I ran to the back bedroom and this very strong, very drunk man was like pounding on the door, trying to get in, breaking the lock, pounding on the door. And luckily for me and for him, he passed out drunk in his bedroom before he got into the room. And so then I made my escape. And I've told my family and everyone knows, and I've never spoken about it with him. I've let him bring it up. I'm not confrontational, but I'm good with it. But you see, I have forgiven him, and that was 10 years ago. So, but I know I can see him and his body, his attitude, his approach. He has a lot of self-guilt, and that's all on him. He's never brought it up. He's never asked why I don't hang out with him anymore. So does my forgiveness mean that he gets out of what he did? I don't really care since I'm done, right? And this brings up another point, which is forgiveness doesn't mean you have to go back for more either. In other words, you don't have to go back to the thing, the relationship, the situation. I believe you're allowed to, ought to, and should set boundaries for yourself that feel good. And there's a lot of boundary work you can go research. I've had a talk, I think, here on boundaries. I might do some more, but it's really important to set boundaries. For a lot of us, that's our main life lesson is if you're an empathic, giving person, there are those out there who will take until you've set up a boundary. But you can get there without being angry. A lot of folks wait till they're just pissed off and done before they set a boundary. Like, that's it. But I suggest you can simply set a boundary before you get to that point where you're sane, happy, whole, and just saying, nope, that's a hard no. Instead of waiting till you're, desperately angry, something like that. So forgiveness does not mean you have to go back for more. You may, and like I said, set a boundary up with this person. That's a whole other topic that you can research. And we'll talk about it here on the channel sometime. So forgiveness does not mean you go back to the same thing. Like with my brother, I've forgiven him. I feel he owes me nothing, but I also no longer reach out to him. He doesn't get to have that. I'm awesome and wonderful. He is not blessed with my company any longer because he was so shitty, right? Our friendship's over. If we meet up at a family event, I'm delighted to be civil with him. It's all good. He's only harming himself at this point. Right now, I'm just curious and amused about it, and I talk about it openly, like I just did here. But he's stewing in his own, sewage, really. So, and as a mindset coach, I work with clients to quote unquote clean out before we go for the big goals. So we do forgiveness work and other types of work like limiting beliefs, removing limiting beliefs, and reintegrating soul parts. All this work is on the way to programming the subconscious with what we want. Some people call this doing shadow work. Some people call this inner child work, whatever you want to call it. I call it the work of the process. It's important to get started with this. I feel it's very hard to go for the $1 million or the great gal, the great girl, the home, the stuff, or the character, the virtues that you seek if we don't do any cleaning out. So what I talk to my clients about is really I think it's important to move concurrently through moving through your shadow work while it also at once moving toward your goals. So don't give up on the goals. You don't have to wait till you're done processing. I have clients who say, well, we have to do our healing. And they're not moving forward because they're busy with their healing. Like, no. Do it both at once. Yeah. And self-forgiveness is perhaps the hardest thing to do. I know a lovely woman who must be around 70 years old by now. She had an abortion at 22, and she still does not forgive herself. Again, whether you think it's right or wrong, this is how she's thinking about the situation. This is her choice, of course, but it has certainly hampered her. She is miserably unhappy, unhealthy, and poor because she feels she deserves nothing. She gets nothing. It's important to forgive ourselves in order to move forward, to live our best lives, and to serve others at the highest level. Would you want to help yourself and others feeling your best rather than feeling horrible about life? Right? There's a weight that's lifted when you forgive and move on, because most of us can't change the past. So it's nice to just create a beautiful future for yourself, or a beautiful now. Right? Why just be a lump of humanity waiting to die when you can lighten up and have some fun in life? So here's a fun trick. If you're just too emotional right now to forgive, it's just too fresh, you're too angry, too pissed off, I get it. You could simply pray or meditate and just ask Source, God, the universe, to help you get ready to forgive. Like I'll say sometimes, like, well, I'm not ready yet, God, but you could help me move toward getting ready. I'm open to getting ready, to maybe thinking about possibly maybe sometime in the future forgiving. And that works. It helps soften me a little bit. And the other thing is, hey, maybe now it's not the time. You're just not ready yet, and that's cool. Maybe this video is just a seed for you to later consider forgiving. So with that preamble, let's do some forgiving. I'll put a timestamp to the process so you can come back later if today's not good for you. Some of this verbiage comes from Dolores Cannon's work, and some of it comes from my own shamanic work. So now I'd like you to timestamp now. Think of some people you're unhappy with. Some of these people you're just pissed off because they didn't, they did the thing, they didn't do the thing they promised to do, but it's not that bad. You still want to be with them, or be their friends, or have them be your mom or something. Have them be your mom. Some people did stuff so egregious that you're done. You can have all these types of people on the list. So pick a person, and you don't have to get down into an alpha or theta state. You can simply just quiet your eyes, quiet your face, quiet yourself, settle down, breathe while the gardener's going on outside next door. You can calm yourself. It doesn't have to be a big ceremonial deal today, or it can be. Close your eyes and picture the person in front of you. And you could say to them, we tried. We really tried. It just didn't work. Let's tear up the contract. So imagine yourself tearing up the contract. Throw it away. I like to see it burning. Sometimes when I do this, I feel an emotion or a weirdness in my body. It's like a release. It's almost like tearing the paper releases something. Almost imagine it's like an energy or a cloud coming out of the paper. So I don't know, maybe you'll feel that too. That's a release. Just let it go. Sometimes I move a little because it just feels weird, like there's something bound in this real contract. So after you've torn up and perhaps burned the contract, you can say, I forgive you and release you. I let you go. You go your way in love, and I'll go my way. We don't have to be connected anymore at all. Sometimes I add, if I don't mind interacting with them again, I'll say, hey, if we choose to interact again, it will be for both our highest good. Only A+ for both of us. So mean what you do, mean what you're saying, and open your eyes. And now these people will no longer have the ability to push your buttons. You'll view them with equanimity. Now, how about forgiving yourself? This is also borrowed verbiage. I forget from where. I have it written down in my notes. I have a notebook of things, which I'm sharing with you guys. I don't always have the source. So forgiving yourself, you can simply say something like, I forgive everyone who has harmed me in this life or in any other life I've lived. I forgive others and release them and let them go. I forgive myself for anyone I've harmed in this life or any other life. I forgive myself, release it, and let it go. You may have other simple things you can do. So by all means, have this video be a reminder to do your process. Now, issues of personal abuse and so on are definitely beyond the scope of this video. I've done domestic violence work, but I can't do it here with you on YouTube. And it constitutes some serious work. And so I just recommend get the help you need, domestic violence counselors, 911 shelters and things like that. So reach out to me, but really 911's better. There's issues of forgiveness and abuse. I'm not talking about that level, okay, of being with people in the dark triad. I'll talk about the dark triad at some point. That's antisocial personality disorders. All right, so other ideas, other things you can do shamanically. You can simply light a fire outdoors or light a candle indoors, and you could take a little bamboo hibachi stick or a stick from outdoors and blow. You can actually hold a stick kind of ritually or sacredly, intentionally in your hands, and you simply blow on the stick. Imagine you're blowing the person into the stick, and you're kind of thinking, I release you. I forgive you, Joe, whatever. And I let you go. You can use the same or similar verbiage that I gave for the other process, and you just burn the stick, and that's another way to release. There's a lot of ways to do it. The whoosh technique that I taught in my Place Your Order with the Universe video, which I'll post in the description box below. You can just imagine an energy ball between your rib cage and your belly button, and you can put your hands and make a ball of energy with your hands. I like to make it golden energy ball, and you imagine just releasing and forgiving the person, just whooshing it up, like the shamans taught us to just say whoosh and whoosh it up to the sky. That is that, and that's the process here today, folks. It's such a pleasure to serve you here on this channel, and leave a comment below of what you think about this and if you've done anything. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to reach out to me, I'm Liz LeClaire, and you can reach out to me in the email below, intuitiveconsulting@protonmail.com. Take care. Bye.